Because most people are extremists. Over 90% of Americans in polls believe that more than one person shot and killed JFK. 90+% bad people, 9% good, reasonable, sane people. Thank goodness they run things right. Okay, I'm sorry. Continuing here. But there were some people that were confused. And so a lot of times I forget to put on my anthropology, sociology, psychology hat because I don't really wordsmith what I say. I don't really calculate my semantics. I really try to just tell the truth in an easily understood way as best I can. And I saw some people saying, World War III, it's not the end of the world. There's not going to be a nuclear war. How could Alex say that? And I went, well, wait a minute. From all my geopolitical research, World War III would be more than 2 regions involved in a prolonged conflict with more than 100,000 people dead, with the 2 sides being backed by one or more groups as proxies. And I went to Encyclopedia Britannica. I went to Wikipedia. Can't really trust them, but they just copied Britannica. I went to some other history books just to double-check my memory, and I was absolutely correct. In fact, I was only incorrect in one facet. The Pentagon, since 1991, has officially taught, and a lot of you have seen this on the news, it's just popularly stated, that the Cold War from 1947 until 1991, with perestroika and all the rest of it, was World War III. And that it was a Cold War fought with proxies. And I actually had those quotes here. I'm not just going to tell you that and then not go to the quotes. So when I say World War III, the only mistake is, and it wasn't a mistake, if I said World War IV, even more folks would have been confused. But to be technical, from the position of the people that run our country, World War IV is now being kicked off. And I did more research, and wow, found out I was more right than I'd even thought. I got ABC News. I've got Associated Press. I've got a bunch of reports here. Here's ABC News. Bush likens war on terror to World War III. He said during a television interview. Okay. But expanding on that, what is a world war? Is a war affecting the majority of the world's most powerful and populous nations? Well, all these wars are affecting us through taxes, regulations, dead troops coming back in flag-draped coffins. World wars span multiple countries on multiple continents. Let me see. Africa, got the EU and the French and the Ivory Coast, got the U.S. and NATO and the French and the Germans. Well, the Germans just pulled out. In Libya, you got the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, now expanding into Pakistan. You've also got that undeclared war going on for a decade down in Colombia over cocaine money. So there you go. And then it gets into large numbers of dead, over 100,000. Million dead Iraqis, conservative. Continues. The term has usually been applied to 2 conflicts, unprecedented scale, that occurred during the 20th century, World War I, 1914, 1918, World War II, 39 to 45. Although in retrospect, a number of earlier conflicts may be regarded as world wars. And it goes into the Napoleonic era and other things. Okay, let me actually, in the World War section, bring you to some of the quotes, and it has links to the Pentagon's own statements in there. Digging into it here, excuse me. I highlighted this. Oh, it must be in my World War III section. But I've got the, here it is. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one I highlighted. Here it is. Some analysts and historians have suggested that the Cold War can be identified as World War III because it was fought on a global scale by proxy combatants of the United States and later NATO and the Soviet Union and Warsaw Pact. Some neoconservative thinkers, including Norman Podhoretz, have suggested, as well as the former CIA director, that the Cold War between the United States and Soviet Union in the mid-20th century should be considered World War III. On the other hand, in a 2006 interview, U.S. President George W. Bush likened the war on terror to World War III. And then it just goes on from there. Now, Why am I going over this so much? Why is this so important? Because World War III in pop culture is seen as a war with the communist Chinese or the Russians or both that results in mushroom clouds everywhere. But I want to be clear. The ongoing buildup for the invasion, the ground invasion of Libya, the ground invasion of Syria, the drone attacks in Yemen, the hostilities in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, all of that fits the bill of a giant world war. Call it whatever name you want, it's a world war. And it does, in their wargaming, lead to thermonuclear. Okay, I know we got at least 12 phone calls online, and I'm going to try to jam you all in right now. I shouldn't even have gotten into World War III without spending at least an hour on it, but I got sidetracked by TSA squeezing people's private parts into oblivion and all the other news. But here's the deal. People think either in black and white geopolitically, either America good, Gaddafi bad, or Gaddafi good, America bad. No. Global mega banks want the trillions in oil and water that's there. They want control of it. It's on record now that they overthrew their former ally, Hosni Mubarak, in Egypt, that Western groups and Google have been involved fomenting these revolutions. Well, I mean, any government could come to the U.S. and find a group of people that wanted to have an armed revolution. Would the UN then invade the United States if the government was putting down a foreign-funded and led insurrection? I mean, think about this. And it's now admitted that they're going ahead with battle groups off the coast of Syria, that the West is in there. Same thing in Libya, same thing in Yemen, everywhere. Drone attacks. I mean, this is a major war. New attacks every month of a new country. And they say, well, people are protesting, and the government might have killed some of them, usually with no evidence. And then we're told, well, we've got to invade countries then if governments go after resistance movements. But then Israel shoots a bunch of people on their border, peaceful protesters. It's like, oh, how wonderful. Well, whether you think it's wonderful or not, it's hypocritical. And these wars are being launched, oh, I'm sorry, kinetic military actions, they're not wars, I forgot, without Congress's approval. And it's unprecedented. And even Senator Al Franken's had to come out and say, Obama, you're supposed to get congressional approval. Even Bush did for his wars. You know, if the president sets a precedent where the military attacks who he says without congressional approval, we got a dictatorship here. You're like, well, I like Obama. Where are all you peaceniks who hated Bush for all these illegal wars? Where are you now? Well, he was given a peace prize. Well, why not give Adolf Hitler a peace prize then? Why not in the Star Wars universe give Emperor Palpatine a peace prize? After all, he tells Anakin, there will now be peace. This is a sick Orwellian joke. And the German government has come out and said, this is illegal. We've confirmed with people on the ground. You're bombing major buildings. You're killing civilians. You are causing the humanitarian disaster. Well, we're only told, I mean, I got an email today saying, how dare you back Gaddafi when he had helicopters attack protesters? Where's the proof? Where's the proof? The same British government foreign secretary told us he ran to Venezuela. Turns out most of that's a lie. There are foreign observers there, and most of it's not true. I mean, Western media is allowed to drive around in major cities and videotape it, and Gaddafi's people leave him alone. I'm not saying Gaddafi's a good guy. I don't like big government, don't like dictators in clown suits. The point is that we were told Saddam threw babies out of incubators and stomped their brains out. That was later admitted to be a lie. I don't like being lied to. Imagine al-Qaeda-backed groups on record a month before this stuff started were funded by the U.S. and British government to start the war with Gaddafi. He puts the al-Qaeda rebellion down, and we're told you're un-American if you don't back al-Qaeda. And now they're saying that the UN sanctions are coming. There's already European Union sanctions on Assad and Syria, and there's U.S.-backed Kurds in one day killed over 100 Syrian police. Those are quite the protesters. I mean, they go out with their U.S.-issued rifles, coming in, infiltrating out of Kurdistan in the northern Iraq area into northern Syria, northeastern Syria. They come in and they machine gun the police when they're coming out of restaurants, gas stations, sitting in their cars. and you're surprised that the Assad government is running around murdering people en masse? This is a full-on Western-backed destabilization overthrow. And if our criminal government's going to do this, they should at least be honest about it. But again, read my lips, no new taxes. I didn't have sex with that woman. Wiener didn't send the photo. Breitbart hacked him. None of it true. They lie and lie. And again, I'm an extremist. You know, the heiress of Formula One, who's going to get part of the money, $250 million of Austin taxpayer money to pay for her own track. If I don't pay my property taxes, they send a SWAT team to my house to kick me out. If I resist, they kill me because I've got to pay her my money for her Formula One track. I'm an extremist. I should be thankful that foreigners come here and buy off our politicians, and then they raise my taxes to pay for a Formula One track that they could pay for over and over again so she can have a $150 million mansion. Michael, Frank, Chris, Frank, Adam, Karen, Josh, Tony, Sean, Ty, Rick, Jack, Jake. We'll see if we can get to all of you. Michael and Tejas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, I'm in Plano. Hey, a couple things. One of the greatest parts of that favorite quote that you mentioned from Goldwater, a lot of times it doesn't get mentioned, the second part.
Silence isn't golden, it's yellow.
That's right, but the extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. The second part of that says also that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue. In other words, people today in America say that if you're a moderate, that means that you're willing to compromise and it makes you a better person. Well, if the code of this country, part of the code of the United States of America is the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, and if you veer off of that, that makes you a good person. If you're a moderate, no, it makes you a traitor. And something else, Alex, I think you should see. There's a video. I know that sometimes you'll even play things. In Cedar Falls, Iowa, the residents just had a local ordinance.
You have to give the cops the keys to your house, yeah.
You got to give the cops the keys. I mean, and I show this to my friends, and they say, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. What do you think, the globalists now get down to Cedar Falls, Iowa?
Yeah, they do. It's called Agenda 21, global standardized local city laws, and that's exactly part of that. Europe's already done that. Why didn't we give the cops the keys to our house before, if it's such a good idea? If the states don't have any power, why do we have stinking states?
And the scariest part of all of it is, even if the globalists didn't approach Cedar Falls, Iowa,
I looked into it. They did. It's part of global zoning.
We've been trained. We're being trained to be slaves. And you should watch that whole video, because one of the town council members says, well, you elected us so that we can tell you what to do. Some foreign guy.
No, I saw it. He can hardly speak English. I know. Very well said, Michael. What do you think of this whole New World War situation?
I think we're already in it. And, you know, it's like you said.
Exactly, but they changed it to a peace action. It's not a bombardment. It's kinetic. I mean, we've gone beyond 1984.
I don't understand how people who look at all the campaign videos from Obama, where he said, we are going to pull the troops out. He's in more wars and started more wars now than Bush did. I
want to know why Boehner is playing golf with him and handing him. I want to know why Rick Perry hasn't introduced the anti-groping bill. I appreciate your call. Very well said, Michael. Gosh, I could go for 10 hours with great calls like that. Frank in Washington, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hi. How's it going, Alex?
Good.
Good. I'm a first-time caller, but a long-time listener and Prison Planet member. I just want to start by saying, man, you're just awesome, and happy Father's Day, because I know you're a dad, and you're an awesome dad, and what you're doing is standing up for your kids.
Thursday they asked me to interrupt you because you brought that up. They said, do you want to take off Sunday? It's Father's Day. And I said, well, no, because it's Father's Day, I'm going to come in. Because anytime I need energy, I look at my children and think about this tyranny, and believe me, I got plenty of energy and plenty of fight in me when I realize what we're facing. Sorry, Frank, go ahead.
No, man, you're absolutely right. And I just want to make a couple quick points and then let you talk about them. I just noticed that, I mean, I picked up a New York Times recently, and I don't normally read the mainstream media because I can get it all online. But I wanted to see what it's like when you actually read their newspaper nowadays. And I just noticed that there's no real important headlines anywhere near the front of the page. But as you dig into it, you can actually find some information about what's really going on in the world. For instance, like the dollar's falling fast, obviously, and we have now